You know that feeling when you're scrolling Zillow like it's your part-time job, but you still have no idea what you can actually afford. Yeah, that's what we're fixing today. There's one simple method that can help you buy your first home with actual confidence without giving up your lifestyle or becoming house poor. Not fingers crossed confidence, not I hope this is okay confidence. I'm talking real grounded, I know my number confidence. I've used this method for years with every first time buyer I've ever worked with. It's a method that has saved my clients from stress, regret, and the dreaded house poor life. And it all starts with understanding affordability the right way, not the way most people think. In this video, I'm going to show you what true affordability actually means for your life, walk you through the exact calculator I use with my clients, and help you find the mortgage payment number and home purchase price you're comfortable with before you ever talk to a lender. Because home ownership should not feel like a math test or a trap, and it certainly should never cost you the life you love. And that starts with understanding this one critical thing first. So here's the problem. Most first time buyers think affordability means what will a lender approve me for? They talk to a lender or do one of those silly online applications, get pre approved, and hear a big number like, congrats, you're approved up to a $3,500 payment, and assume that that is their budget. And they think, well, if a lender approves me for it, I must be able to afford it. Absolutely not. The real question is, what can I comfortably live with and still have a life that I actually enjoy? Now, let me show you the difference. Couple A and couple B both make the same exact income. Again, same salary, same lender, same approval, same everything. The lender says you're both good up to $3,500 a month. But here's the thing. Couple A has no kids, no big extra responsibilities. They love to travel and go out. Couple B, on the other hand, have two kids. They have to pay for childcare. They're also helping an aging parent and have a car that's probably going to die in the next year. On paper, they both qualify for $3,500, but in real life, that $3,500 means two very different levels of stress day to day. So, one of my favorite phrases is eligibility does not equal affordability. Eligibility is what some automated system tells you you can afford. Affordability is what you can actually live with without sacrificing your life and feeling stretched thin daily. And those two numbers, they're often never the same. Remember, lenders approve based on math, ratios, guidelines. They don't take into account your real life, your weekend trips, your Friday night dinners, your kids' activities, your therapy sessions, your morning coffee habit, that gym membership you swear you'll use consistently this time. All of those things add up. This is where so much regret comes from. People go into buying a home only looking at the mortgage payment. They don't look at the emotional stress, the lifestyle cuts, and the lack of extra cash to save or invest that will likely show up after they move in. I've seen way too many first time buyers get approved for a number they technically qualify for. And then 3 months after closing, they're like, oh no, what did we do? We can't even travel anymore. So, step one is a mindset shift. Stop asking, what can I borrow? And start asking, what can I comfortably live with? Once you make that shift, everything else gets so much easier. Let me tell you about one of my clients. She was approved for something like $580,000. That number was shiny. It felt exciting. She was like, OMG, we can get everything in our wish list and more. But deep down, I could feel something was off. She was hesitating. She seemed nervous to pull the trigger on a few homes we saw that were perfect fits, but she couldn't articulate why. So I walked her through this exact method again that I'm going to show you next. And do you know where her ideal payment ended up? Around the equivalent of a $450,000 house. And once she saw that number, everything else made sense. Her anxiety dropped. She finally felt in control. We were able to find her a great home that checked most of her boxes, but gave her the peace of mind needed to feel confident to be able to move forward. So that's what this method is all about. Taking back your power, protecting the life you love while building the future that you want. So most people rely on random online calculators they found on Google, or do a quick pre-qual from an online, maybe predatory lender, or look up something based off of some rules of thumb that they saw on TikTok to help them determine how much they can afford. These tools fail you because they will tell you the math, but math is not your lived experience. What they don't account for is your kids, your travel, your target runs, your savings goals. They have no idea what you actually want your life to look like after you buy a home. So I built my own affordability calculator that I use with my clients. It's built around three things: your current real lifestyle, a payment that feels comfortable to you based on your goals and tolerance risk, and a realistic home price that fits both. This calculator includes everything standard calculators ignore: savings goals, utility costs, a home maintenance budget, and what I call those quiet expenses: subscriptions, pet care, or the little Target oops runs that somehow turn into $150 every single time. The things that silently kill affordability. And instead of giving you one rigid number, it gives you a variety of financial comfort levels to choose from. And it also shows you the payment as a percentage of your net income, so you can better understand how it fits into your take home pay, not gross pay that is used by lenders. So let's walk through it. All right, so this is my Don't Go Broke Mortgage Toolkit. Yours might look slightly different depending on when you download it, but you'll see a few main areas on the screen: a section for your current budget, a section for the actual home details like down payment, rate, property tax, HOA, things like that, a section to determine the mortgage payment you feel comfortable with and how that translates into a home purchase price. There are some bonus sections I'm not going to cover in this video, but they are really helpful. And these include a debt to income ratio calculator, so you can see how that may affect being approved for a mortgage to even begin with; cash to close calculator, because you do need more money than just a down payment. And one thing I think is so important right now is a rent versus own calculator, because buying is not right for everyone all the time. So this will help you see real numbers to make an informed decision. All right, let's walk through a real example so you can see this in action. Okay, so before you can use the calculator effectively, you do need to prepare a few of your inputs. And that means getting honest about your actual spending, not what you think you spend, not what you wish you spent, what you actually spend. This is where most people lie to themselves, not on purpose. It's just out of wishful thinking. They'll say things like, oh, we'll cut back on eating out. No, you won't. Listen, I love you, but no. If you haven't cut back in the last 6 years, you're not magically doing it after you buy a house. Or I won't buy clothes every month. Yes, you will. Or we'll cut back on traveling. Absolutely not. You will hate your life and your house. Your lifestyle habits are not going to change just because you close on a home. And pretending they will is how people become house poor. Here's what I recommend: track 30 days of spending. That's it. You don't need a full year of bank statements, just 1 month. One real month of spending usually reveals everything: habits, patterns, and the things that you aren't changing just because you bought a home. If you really want a good picture, track for 3 months. Make sure you're looking at your credit card, your debit card, your cash, your Venmo. Write it all down. You'll be surprised. Most people underestimate their spending by 20 to even 40%. And the categories most people forget, they're everywhere. Those 10 TV subscriptions we all now need to watch anything: childcare, transportation, eating out, personal spending, pets, hobbies, commuting, groceries, savings. We are looking for the real number here, not the ideal one. Side note, this is also a great time to cancel those subscriptions you've forgotten all about that you're still paying for, or to negotiate a discount on other things if possible. You also need to distinguish between needs and non negotiables. A need is something that you have to pay for. A non negotiable is something you don't necessarily need, but you're not willing to give up. For example, maybe you don't need a gym membership, but if working out is part of how you stay sane, then it's a non negotiable. Don't cut it just to make the numbers look better on paper. Your job isn't to be perfect here. Your job is to be honest. That's the only way to get meaningful results from the calculator. If you lie to the calculator, I won't know, anybody else won't know either, but you're only lying to yourself, and that catches up with you fast. But the more honest you are, the more this calculator can protect you. Now, I know that for a lot of people, looking at your numbers brings up a lot of feeling. Can I tell you something buyers really admit? Before they reach out, they feel shame, embarrassment, fear of being behind in life, fear their numbers won't be good enough. I see it all of the time. You avoid looking at your finances because you're scared of what you'll find. You're scared the truth will confirm your fear that you messed up and you will never be able to buy a home. So it's better to bury your head in the sand and pretend the numbers don't exist. I get it. I really do. But here's what I've learned after years of working with first time buyers: avoiding your numbers doesn't make the fear go away. In fact, it makes it worse. It actually increases your anxiety because your brain fills in the gaps with the worst case scenario. I've had buyers come to me whispering their income, apologizing for their credit, absolutely convinced they were nowhere near ready, terrified to even have the conversation. And do you know what happens? We run the numbers and they realize they're so much closer than they thought. When you see where you stand, you take back your power. You stop guessing. You stop worrying, and you start knowing. When you know your starting point, even if it's messy, even if it's not perfect, even if it seems like doom and gloom, you can build a plan. You can take next steps to get where you want to be, whether that's 6, 12 months, or 2 years down the road. And here's the other thing: every buyer's journey is different. Comparing yourself to others is just destructive. It doesn't matter how much your friend was able to qualify for or the new home the influencer Instagram just bought. This is about you, your life, your goals. So if you're feeling any of those emotions right now, I want you to know you are 100% not alone and you're not behind. The goal is to help you feel empowered, not embarrassed. All right, now let's get into the actual calculator. There are three main parts of this calculator that we're actually going to go through today. The first part is putting in those budget items that we talked about earlier. Now, don't forget to add in things like kids' sports costs and an estimate for your vacations you may love to take, and of course, your savings goals. Whatever it is, you need to name it because lifestyle protection is the number one safeguard against becoming house poor. Again, we aren't eliminating things you love just to force fit a bigger house. It will catch up with you. It never works because 6 months in, you'll be miserable. You'll feel trapped and start resenting the house. Part two is inputting the information about future home. First is down payment, and I'll go with 3.5% in this example, which is what's needed for an FHA loan. We'll check out what the current interest rate, which as of this recording for an FHA loan is about 5.74%. Property taxes here in Arizona are 0.6%. I'll leave the homeowner's insurance at 0.6%, but just keep in mind that this is one area that you can and should shop around for. HOA fees you can adjust based on the average in your area. I'll just use where I live now and put 0 since I don't have an HOA, and then adjust the other aspects based on your goals. So I'm putting a 1,560 square foot house since that's the size of my current home. For utilities, I'll put moderate just to be on the more conservative side. And for maintenance savings, I'll put low since our house was fully remodeled a few years ago. So there isn't much that needs to be updated or maintained. If you're thinking of buying an older home, you may want to consider selecting high just to be on the safe side. Everything else should pull over from the first tab where you input all of your income and expense numbers. And part three, that is where the magic happens. You can see here that based on my initial income and expense inputs, my max mortgage payment should be about $4,061. Now, that personally feels really insane. So what I want to do is adjust my financial comfort level. You can see there are 5 options ranging from cautious, which is about 25 to 28% of your gross income, to risky, which is 46 to 55% of your gross income. And yes, there are some lenders who will approve you up to that level, but I do not advise it. It's almost a guaranteed way to stretch yourself thin and regret buying a home. The goal really is to play around with these risk levels to determine where you feel most comfortable, and it's likely somewhere between two. So using my example, the high end of the moderate risk level exceeds my monthly housing budget of $4,061 by almost $1,000. So that feels like I'd be setting myself up for failure. Now remember, a lender might approve me for it since they go by gross income, but I'm focused on what percentage would my mortgage payment be of my take-home pay. So let's change that to traditional risk level. This now puts me at 32% of my take-home pay, which feels much more comfortable and gives me a bit more wiggle room should an emergency come up, which it will. Or if I want to increase my savings goals, or maybe a home with a bit above that range comes up that checks all my boxes, it gives me room to maybe check it out and still feel comfortable. Now, remember, as you're going through these scenarios, there's no right or wrong answer. The only right answer is the one that gives you confidence and makes buying a home a hell yes. The third part is converting that payment you've determined feels best into an actual home price range. So, for example, with the payment at the traditional risk level of $3,650, this tells me that I can comfortably afford a home around $493,000. But remember, realistically, I could afford more. So I can see here what 5 to 10% higher in payment would be in terms of home purchase price. So in reality, I'd be okay with a home from 490,000 to maybe 525 if it was really a spectacular home. Here's the key I want you to remember. Shop below your max. You don't need to shop at the very top of what this calculator says. You can absolutely choose to shop in the middle of that range or even below it for more peace of mind, more flexibility, and more breathing room. This is the easiest way to keep your peace and protect your future self. Now, this may be bursting some of y'all's bubbles. You may have hoped to be able to buy a home at a higher purchase price and you're realizing you can't, and that's okay. First, because it prevents you from getting pushed too far by lenders, agents, or pressure from other people. Second, it's going to give you a bit of a reality check on if buying is right for you right now. I actually recently had a client qualify for only $400,000. For some, that is more than enough. However, the area she wanted to be in has a median home price of about 450,000, which meant she either had to go to a different area to get more home for her money, but that would require a further commute and change to her daughter's school, or wait another year to pay down some debt, get the raise she was anticipating, and save up for a higher down payment. She decided to wait another year, and that is okay. Don't let anyone, including yourself, pressure you into buying before you feel ready financially. This number is your anchor for making smart financial decisions. So now you know your numbers. What happens next? Well, really, everything changes. For first time buyers that know these numbers, they are able to have far better conversations with lenders because instead of going in and saying, how much can I borrow? They say, hey, this is my max payment range I'm comfortable with. What does that translate in terms of a home purchase price? They take control of the conversation versus going in blind and hoping that the lender that they're chatting with has their future best interest in mind. It also helps so you don't get swept away by pretty kitchens and cute backyards and end up saying, well, maybe we could stretch just a little more and more and more. It's easy to fall in love with a house that's $20,000 or $30,000 over budget. Nope. We already decided this with calm, rational, data driven brains, not emotional brains. So you can step back and say, nope, this doesn't fit my plan. And your confidence rises, quite frankly, because you know your boundaries. You're not guessing, you're not hoping, you actually know. Because payment stability gives you freedom. Even if life changes, even if you have kids, even if you switch jobs, even if there's an emergency, you will have a payment that doesn't keep you up at night. And most importantly, you won't be living with regret months after closing. You'll get to actually enjoy making your house a home instead of worrying about having stretched yourself too thin. Most first time buyers don't struggle because they can't qualify. They struggle because they've never been shown what affordability actually looks like for their real life. And that's where the fear comes from. What if I choose the wrong payment? What if it stretches me too thin? What if I regret the house I bought? You don't deserve to feel overwhelmed or rushed into a decision. You deserve clarity and confidence. You deserve to understand the numbers in a way that protects your lifestyle and your long term stability. So, if this video helped you even a little and you want to buy your first home with confidence, here is where you start. I host a free workshop called Home Buying 101, where I walk you through this exact method step by step and chat about ways to combat other affordability concerns. You can find the link below in the description, but if you're not ready for the workshop yet, no problem. I'm still here to help, so be sure to check out this video next. I'm Heidi Littleton, and I'll see you in the next one.